Welcome to the Stoic Tide. What goes through her mind the moment she realizes you're never going to text again? Not later, not someday, not ever. The silence that she once thought was temporary becomes permanent, and for the first time she feels what you once felt. Emptiness mixed with confusion, masked by pride. She stares at her phone, half expecting your name to appear again, and it doesn't. The world doesn't fall apart, but something inside her does. At first, she convinces herself it's just a phase, that you'll reach out eventually like you always did because she was used to your softness, your patience, your willingness to fix things. But this time it's different. This time you didn't send the one last text. You didn't ask if she's okay. You didn't explain your silence. You simply stopped, not out of spite, but out of understanding, because you finally saw that chasing peace through chaos only destroys it. You see, a stoic man doesn't announce his departure. He doesn't make speeches. He doesn't try to prove his point. He just goes quiet when he realizes his energy no longer serves the situation. It's not weakness. It's power. It's the kind of power that makes people question their own behavior when your words can't reach them anymore. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." And there was nothing left to say. You had already spoken with consistency, with effort, with care. And when that was ignored, silence became your final sentence. Because silence is undefeated. It doesn't argue. It doesn't defend. It doesn't beg to be heard. It just exists. And the longer it lasts, the louder it gets. So when she realizes you'll never text again, what she's really realizing is that you've reached peace. That you've outgrown the need to be understood, that you've taken back control of your time, your energy, your focus. You're no longer waiting for her to value your presence. You've already found value in your absence. And that's when the silence starts to echo, because you didn't just stop texting, you stopped chasing. If you live by stoic strength, self-respect, and emotional control, like this video, subscribe the Stoic Tide, and comment below. I am silence. Now let's begin. At first, she doesn't feel the silence. She feels relief. She thinks she's finally in control again. No unread messages, no calls, no emotional tension. She tells herself she needed space, that things were too heavy. But time has a way of revealing truth. And silence has a way of growing louder. A few days pass, then a week, then two. Still nothing from you. No apology, no reaction, no closure. And that's when it hits her. This isn't a pause. This is the end. For the first time, she realizes that your silence isn't waiting. It's acceptance. You've stopped playing her game. You've stopped trying to fix what wasn't yours to fix. And that realization stings more than any breakup ever could. She scrolls through your old messages, the ones she used to ignore, the ones she never valued. Now they read differently. Every word you once sent feels heavier now because it came from a man who no longer exists in her life. The same texts she took for granted have become echoes of stability she'll never feel again. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." She's realizing she wasted yours, your attention, your patience, your consistency. And once a stoic man's time is gone, it doesn't return. Because your silence isn't just the absence of words. It's the withdrawal of energy. And energy is what kept her world in balance. Now she's caught in the quiet she once created, and that quiet begins to echo. She replays every last moment, every message left unread, every chance she had to respond. Because deep down she knows your silence isn't revenge. It's a mirror. It's showing her exactly how her indifference felt when it was you waiting. The shock isn't that you stopped texting. It's that you stopped caring. As the days stretch into weeks, the silence begins to change shape. It's no longer just quiet. It's presence. It's the invisible gravity of a man who has truly let go. At first, she tries to distract herself. New conversations, new faces, new noise. But nothing fills the void. Because what she's missing isn't your attention. It's your energy. Your energy had weight. It carried peace, stability, direction. When she spoke, you listened. When she acted out, you didn't retaliate. When things fell apart, you didn't crumble. You were the calm she never understood until it was gone. And now that calm has turned into emptiness, a space in her mind that no one else can fill. She doesn't miss the messages, she misses the feeling that came with them, the security of knowing that no matter what chaos she brought, you would remain steady. But now her texts go unanswered, and the silence presses down like truth. It forces her to sit with herself, with her patterns, her impulsiveness, her choices. Because a Stoic man's absence doesn't just remove comfort, it removes distraction. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And now her thoughts are colored by regret. Every memory of your composure makes the noise around her feel heavier. Every fleeting connection reminds her of what she can't replicate. That rare stillness that doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't need validation. She starts to understand what your silence really means. It's not cruelty. It's closure. It's the calm declaration that you've made peace with letting her go. You're not trying to prove you've moved on. You are moved on. And that realization cuts deeper than anger ever could because your silence doesn't beg for her to come back. It makes her wish she never left. There comes a moment when the silence stops being about pride and starts becoming about pain. She's no longer trying to convince herself that she's fine. The distractions don't work anymore. The noise she chased now sounds hollow. The people she surrounded herself with don't silence the thoughts that creep in at night, because what's haunting her isn't you. It's the contrast between you and everyone else. Her ego once told her she could replace you easily. That peace was boring. That consistency lacked spark. But now that ego is cracking under the weight of reality. Every man she meets reminds her of what she lost, not because they're bad men, but because they lack what you built within yourself. Control. She feels the difference immediately. Their attention is anxious. Their confidence shallow. Their affection conditional. You were different. You didn't need to chase approval. You didn't perform strength. You embodied it. And that stillness is what her ego couldn't understand, until it was gone. Now her mind replays your restraint like a lesson she refused to learn. How you never begged, never folded, never allowed her emotions to control yours. Seneca said, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." She was deceived. She thought she could trade peace for passion and come out stronger. But all she found was emptiness disguised as excitement. And now when she remembers you, she remembers what it felt like to be grounded, to stand next to a man who didn't flinch under pressure. Her ego is breaking because it's realizing what her heart already knows. You weren't just another man. You were the standard. The calm she mistook for detachment was actually presence. The silence she mocked became the sound of power. And now she's left facing a truth that humbles her. She pushed away the one man who could have led her out of her own chaos. Your silence broke her pattern. Your stillness broke her ego. And that's why she's thinking about you again. Not out of love, but out of realization. Regret is a strange thing. It doesn't arrive all at once. It creeps in slowly like a shadow at sunset. It begins as a memory, then a thought, then a longing that she can't quite explain. She tells herself she's over you. But late at night, when the noise fades and her guard drops, something inside her whispers the truth. She misses your silence, not because it was comfortable, but because it was honest. Your silence didn't manipulate. It didn't seek attention. It simply existed, calm, powerful, and unbothered. It reflected the very thing she lacked, self-control. And now every man she encounters feels like an echo of something that once was loud, inconsistent, fragile. None of them carry that grounded stillness she felt from you. She replays the last conversation in her mind. The moment she thought you'd come back. The moment she expected the usual pattern. But this time you didn't return. You didn't explain, defend, or plead. You just stopped. And now that absence carries more weight than all her words ever could. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." You embodied that. You didn't become bitter. You became better. You didn't react. You redirected. And that's what burns the most because she can sense it. The peace in your distance. The quiet confidence in your detachment. She may even test the waters. A message, a reaction, a subtle attempt to see if she still matters. But deep down she already knows. The silence isn't a wall. It's a boundary. It's not punishment. It's closure. You didn't ghost her. You graduated from her. And the irony is she finally understands your silence now, not as rejection but as strength, because she's realizing that the man who no longer speaks has already said everything through his peace. There's a moment when everything flips, when the very silence she once used to test you starts to test her, when the control she thought she had starts slipping through her fingers. That's the Stoic reversal, the silent shift in energy that happens when a man stops needing to be chosen. You see, she was used to your pursuit. She was used to you reaching out, checking in, caring too much. It gave her comfort, not because she wanted you, but because she could have you. But when that availability vanished, something inside her changed. The same silence that once annoyed her now pulls at her curiosity. The man she thought she understood suddenly feels like a mystery. And nothing pulls harder on the human mind than uncertainty. Now she's watching you from a distance, maybe on social media, maybe through friends trying to read between the lines. She's wondering if you've truly moved on or if you're just pretending. But she can't tell because your peace doesn't perform. It's not loud. It's not forced. It's effortless. That's what makes it powerful. Epictetus said, "He who laughs at himself never runs out of things to laugh at." You've learned to laugh at what once hurt you. You don't take rejection personally anymore. You don't see endings as loss. You see them as liberation. You've detached from outcomes, and that detachment radiates through everything you do. You became the calm she can't recreate, the presence she can't find, the silence that lives rentry in her thoughts because you did what most men can't. You took your power back without saying a single word. Now the roles are reversed. She's the one wondering what you're thinking. She's the one refreshing her messages, hoping maybe this time you'll break the silence. But you won't, because the man who's found peace has no reason to disturb it. You've gone from the man who waited for her to notice you to the man she can't stop noticing. That's the power of Stoic control. When your silence becomes magnetic and your detachment becomes the loudest presence in the room, it always happens eventually. The moment she can't take the silence anymore, it might start with something small. A message that seems innocent, almost casual. "Hey, how have you been?" Or maybe just a reaction to your story. But underneath those simple words is a storm of confusion. She's not reaching out because she misses you. She's reaching out because she can't read you anymore. She wants to know if the door is still open, if she still holds any part of your attention, if she still has power over your emotions, but she doesn't realize that the man she left behind isn't the man who's reading that message now. You've changed. You've spent nights rebuilding your mind. You've learned to sit in silence without fear. You've learned to live without her presence. And in doing so, you've become untouchable. When you see that message, there's no rush of adrenaline. No wave of nostalgia, just stillness, because her words no longer carry weight. You don't need to prove that you're over her. Your peace already does that for you. Seneca said, "He who has learned to die has unlearned how to be a slave." And that's what your silence represents. The death of the old you. The one who chased, who over-explained, who needed to be understood. Now you understand yourself, and that's enough. Whether you reply calmly or not at all doesn't matter, because the power was never in the text. It was in your ability to choose not to send it. Your silence is your sword. Your restraint is your revenge. And your peace is your proof that you've won without fighting. This is the test of control, not to dominate her but to master yourself. Because when a man can resist the urge to respond, he transcends the need for validation entirely. And that's when she finally realizes the silence she's been trying to break isn't empty. It's full of strength, discipline, and freedom. There's a kind of power that can't be seen or explained, only felt. It's the power of detachment, the moment when your peace becomes louder than your presence ever was, when your energy still lingers but your emotion doesn't, when she can still feel you but can no longer reach you. That's what your silence has become. It's not an act, it's an evolution. You've detached not out of bitterness but out of awareness. You finally understand that attachment to what doesn't value you is a quiet form of self-betrayal, and the Stoic man refuses to betray himself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." You've realized it. Your strength no longer depends on who texts first, who apologizes, or who understands you. It comes from one thing only: control over your own mind. She feels it now. That calm disinterest that isn't cruel, just indifferent. The absence of emotional reaction where she used to find reassurance. The quiet confidence that replaces what she once called love. It doesn't come from arrogance. It comes from balance, because when a man detaches from outcome, he becomes untouchable. She might check your profile, watch your stories, or even test the waters again. But all she finds is peace. No anger, no resentment, just calm. And that calm cuts deeper than any insult ever could, because she realizes she no longer has access to your energy. This is where most men fail. They break their silence when they feel missed. But you didn't. You stayed firm. You understood that not every connection deserves reconnection. That silence, when mastered, becomes sacred. Your detachment isn't a wall. It's a gate. And only peace is allowed to enter. That's the power of the Stoic man. He doesn't run from emotion. He outgrows it. At some point, your silence stops being a reaction and becomes evolution. You've risen above the noise, beyond the games, past the need to prove anything. You no longer operate from emotion. You operate from clarity. And that shift, that quiet internal rise, is what I call the silent ascension. You've ascended not because you gained more, but because you let go. You let go of explaining yourself. You let go of needing closure. You let go of the version of you who couldn't stand the quiet. And in return, the universe gave you peace. A kind of peace that doesn't depend on who stays or who leaves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The tranquility that comes when you stop caring what they say or think or do, only what you do." That's where you live now. In that rare air of detachment where validation no longer drives you. Your attention is sacred, your energy expensive, your emotions disciplined. You've become a man whose silence no longer means absence. It means arrival. You've arrived in self-mastery. Meanwhile, she feels it. She doesn't see you posting out of emotion. She doesn't hear stories of you trying to prove something. You've disappeared from her narrative, but not from her memory, because your silence radiates power. You've become the mystery she thought she wanted and now regrets losing. This is what ascension looks like. It's not flashy. It's not loud. It's calm. It's the stillness of a man who's done fighting battles beneath his level. It's the quiet confidence of knowing that your presence was the blessing all along, and now she's the one searching for the man who no longer searches for her. Your silence didn't push her away. It elevated you beyond her reach. In the end, it's not the text you never sent that defines you. It's the man you became because of it. You learned the hardest truth a man can learn. That silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. That walking away isn't quitting, it's mastery. That when you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, peace finally begins. She may still think about you from time to time, not because she wants to, but because your calm left an imprint. Your silence became a mirror she can't escape. Every time she meets someone new, every time she feels chaos return, she remembers the peace she once had and didn't value. But here's the truth. That chapter was never meant to define you. It was meant to refine you. You didn't lose her. You lost the version of yourself that needed her, and in its place you gained something no one can take: discipline, control, and peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And now your thoughts are calm, your mind is your fortress, your emotions your allies. You've learned that a man who can master silence can master anything, because silence is where true strength is born." So when she finally realizes you'll never text again, understand this. It's not about pride. It's about peace. You didn't win because she regrets it. You won because you no longer need her to. You are no longer reacting to the world. You are shaping it through calm presence. That is silent stoic control. If you live by self-discipline, strength, and emotional mastery like this video, subscribe and comment below. I am Silence. Join the movement. Become a stoic soldier, because the world remembers words, but it bows to silence. Stay stoic, stay blessed.